Welcome back to Wax Pro and Cut. This is season 2, episode 4. My name's Erica,
And I'm Rachel.
and today we are going to talk about business.
Business 101.
Business 101. So, first topic is, when are you ready to either leave the company you're working for or go solo 100%? So, I think this is a really tough thing to advise to because everyone's scenario is different. First of all, I think everyone got into the industry to work for themselves. We have talked to hundreds of estheticians that are in school right now. And I just asked them off the whim, like, so why did you come to aesthetic school?
Mm-hmm.
And they all say, oh, I want to have my own business. I want to work for myself. And something we've seen very often in the industry is that they graduate school after aesthetics, right? Aesthetic school, they graduate, they get their license, and then they go look for work. And they realize that everywhere that they go apply is requesting 2 years minimum work experience or a book of business to bring to their business. Well, that's kind of impossible when you just graduated
Right.
school, right? And so you kind of get, stuck with working for some of these chains. Um, Nothing wrong with it. We started doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
It was early 2008, 2009. There wasn't a lot of options in aesthetics back then. Like aesthetics was kind of new at that point. So you end up working for like a chain, let's say, and honestly, it's a great experience. You're going to learn how to wax. You're going to be given clients, but in return, you are going to work for minimum wage. There's going to be quotas you have to meet, and some people thrive in that, and some people don't. And you start making money eventually, right? They usually have compensation plans where it's like the longer you're there, the more you make, the more volume, retention plans. So if you have a lot of clients, you get like first time Brazilians. So eventually you do work your way up to make, good money. But your dream of being your independent owner, waxer kind of goes, on the back
Yeah.
burner. And personally, I saw that happen with a lot of my employees. And I think when it's time to leave the company that you're working for is when you're just like kind of burnt out. You are bored. You have so many ideas, but you just really can't because you're working for someone else. So you're working under their idea. So to me, the advice I would give is, you're ready when you're just not looking forward to doing what you're doing every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you kind of done all you can do for the company you're working for. You reach a point where you're book solid. You look at the numbers and you think, okay, this is what I'm making for them, or this is what I could be making for me. And the writing's kind of on the wall. And you look at the numbers and go, why am I giving all this money to somebody else?
Right.
And why we built Wax Pro, which we've talked about this so many times before, is really just to empower beauty professionals to be able to take the leap and go straight to working for themselves before having to go work for another, big name corporation. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That was a great path for me. I had great training and it built me into the waxer that I am today. But if I would have left far sooner, or I should have left far sooner, I would have started kind of my entrepreneurial journey way sooner than I had. And I really only left because I got pregnant and I took a step back and I ran the numbers way after I should have. I was already 9 years in and then looked at the numbers like, this is crazy. I could be making a lot of money for myself. And had I had the skills and the confidence and just the resources and community to make that jump and figure out how to go work for myself, I would have probably, which is what we want to bring to you and our viewers, anyone interested in our courses, of kind of this fast track plan, blueprint of here's what we've learned in the industry, and we want to help you know when it's time to leave and how to leave, and or graduate school and know how to start on your own without having to go work for somebody else to start.
Totally. And there's one part of it where it's like you have to mentally be ready and make that decision.
Well, and financially, right? Yes. Yeah.
Right. And the second part, exactly that, is financially. Like you have to be realistic. You have to understand what your overhead would be like every single month. Like you just have to have that number figured out. Then you think, okay, how many months would I need saved up of that monthly overhead to allow myself the time to build
To
that book of
build.
business?
Yep.
In our curriculum, we recommend 9 months. So let's just say your rent is 1,000 and your utilities are 200, your marketing's 400, right? So 1,600 a month, and that's light. So 1,600 times 9 is what you'd want to either have saved up, funded, have a loan for, whether that's through, a bank or a personal loan, et cetera, for you to actually have the opportunity to build your business up. So one part is mental, one part is like that realistic financial threshold of when you could actually float yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you go into business for yourself doesn't mean you're going to be making money.
Right.
That's one thing that I think I was like really mistaken about. And I had been on the business end of it for a long time is profit versus top line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, top line, sure, you're making 5 grand, 6 grand a month. But again, your profit, what are you taking home? And then from that, you have to tax plan and have a percentage held aside because you have to pay taxes, right? So it takes a lot of preparation, getting real and having a plan,
Mm-hmm.
period, point blank. So,
Yeah. A lot of organization and just, yep, the planning is everything, I think.
right, if you don't have a plan, that's exactly what we cover in Business 101 in our curriculum is how to have that plan. So once you have that plan and you're committed and you're ready financially, like how do you give notice?
Well, for a lot of the people that, we hope this course in our platform will serve, we hope that they won't have to give notice, that it would be that they're just starting out. But there is a large part of our audience that are professionals working for themselves that are in the situation that we just spoke about, that they've worked for somebody else, they've worked for a corporation, and it's time to go. You give notice professionally like you would in any other job, but you have to have all of your ducks in a row before you give notice, assuming that the moment that you do, a written email, a verbal conversation with your manager, whatever it is, that you most likely will be terminated immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and planning for that. So knowing that, like, no, I didn't give it 2 weeks, I still have 2 weeks of income. No, you need to assume that the day that you give notice
They're
is your
going to cut you.
last day.
Yeah. I can speak to this because I was on the other end of it. I was an employer for the majority of my career. And so as soon as someone said that they're out, you bet your freaking ass I was cutting you off from your books. You weren't going to contact any clients. You weren't going to try to poach. You weren't going to try to do anything funny. So I would just be like, okay, totally appreciate that. Best of luck to you. Today's actually your last day. We don't need you to take clients. And I didn't care if I had to reschedule every single one of your clients to a different day. It is the industry. I don't think anyone really talks about it because it's very cutthroat and there's some like HR issues with everything, integrity stuff, but it is the reality of what is going to happen if you give notice. So that is why you have to have a plan, have all your ducks in a row, make sure that you financially can do it, that you know what your next steps are. Which kind of brings us to the next thing where it's like, your clients, you think they're yours when you're working for someone else, but the truth of the matter is they're not. They are clients of the company. And I think we spoke about this maybe in another podcast where I think it was with Lauren, where we were talking about like, you think all your clients are going to follow you because they tell you, they're
Mhm.
like, wherever you go, girl, I'm going to follow you. And
Or even people that waxed in school that were like, I love you. Please be sure to give me your number. I would love to come and see you once you graduate. And it's just not the case. I mean, some, yes, but the main bulk of your clientele, you
Yeah.
have to start fresh. Like you are going to build your book from the ground up, and that's all on you. So,
right. Which is like our next topic. What is the hardest part of being a new waxer?
building your book for sure, I think. And also just being solo. You don't have, your coworkers to lean on, or you're in the back room talking to other people and getting advice, or like, she said X, Y, and Z. How do I respond? Or I see this on my book. Like, what do you think I should do? Like, it's all on you. You got to figure it out. Being a new waxer and being a new business owner, if those are grouped in one, I mean, it's everything that we've said before of just having your ducks in a row, the financial responsibility that comes with that, and just faking the confidence. Like when you're a new waxer, you're not confident. You have to practice, practice, practice. And that's the only way that you truly become a good waxer is by number of bodies on your bed of repeating these services over and over again. Like practice truly does make perfect. And so you just have to fake it till you make it. Like,
Yeah. And I think another part is like when you are just solely a waxer at a company, you're kind of spoiled. So, like, if you just want to show up to work and wax because you just love waxing, then yeah, definitely go work for someone else. That's great, you know. But if you want to build your own brand, and if you want to have control of who you see, if you want to even change the music in your room, I mean, you have to work for yourself. But that means you're going to have to teach yourself some stuff that you didn't know before, right? Like
yeah.
booking your clients, managing your book, dealing with those complaints, dealing with, you know, scheduling issues, packages, memberships, refunds, getting reviews. There's a whole side that you just don't even get exposed to
Mm-hmm.
when you work for a company as a waxer. So you have to be prepared, educate yourself, and make the time to learn the business side of everything,
Yeah.
like instilling your policies and holding your clients accountable to them, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, not only are there challenging parts of being a new waxer, but there's fear. There's definitely fear when you go solo.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your fears when you went
I
solo?
mean, of course, just failure as a whole, because, you know, you take this giant leap of faith to start your own business. It's a lot. The financial part of it is scary. If you don't have anything to fall back on, like a husband or a boyfriend or an investor that is, you know, financially taking care of you, like it's all on you. And you have to succeed. You need X number of clients in your suite to be able to pay your bills and succeed. So I wish that you could take the financial part out of it and that would make it a lot easier. But I mean, and just like I just said, confidence in how you handle every scenario. Like I'm completely non-confrontational. So to have to enforce like policies or I don't know, have any sort of confrontation with a client makes me want to shrivel up and die. Like I hate it so much where you're like, no skin off. I don't give a fuck. Like that's fine. Where I'm like, please, I don't want to tell them I can't take them because they're late, or no, you can't bring your daughter or your husband in the room. And there's just parts of that part of being a solo professional that you have to get over and enforce. Otherwise, you just won't succeed.
Hmm. I would say for sure. I mean, fear of failure, period, point blank. There's no one there to coach you through it.
Mhm.
When you're having those lows and you're like, fuck, I'm broke. I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to make rent.
Mhm.
I haven't seen a new client in a long time. Can I do this? And you start having these like self-limiting beliefs, and then you start having imposter syndrome. Like there's just
Yeah.
so many things that happen psychologically, which is why our first chapter, opening chapter of our curriculum is talking about mindset. There's a reason why you're not a business owner. And you know what those reasons are. You've
Yeah.
not stated them because they're insecurities,
Mhm.
right? So in saying that, it's super important to know like you might not make it.
Mhm. Well, and I've talked about this in our last season, but just you said imposter syndrome or like always feeling like not that I'm not enough, but this industry, well, you will hear from many people that it's oversaturated and just pushing through that and knowing again, like there is a seat at the table for everybody. If you give someone a service that is great and they love you, they will stay with you forever unless they move away
Mm-hmm.
or die.
Yep.
But they do, like they truly do. And so I think just getting out of your own head of like that you're not going to be able to, you know, retain clients or like your pre-book is low or it's a slow week, month, whatever. Like there were times where I would look at my book and because I knew when I worked for said chain, my pre-book was like in the 70s and that's great. But like our front desk pushed that super hard. Where when I work for myself, I don't push it as hard. But I know these people are going to come back. They're just not on my book yet. So I have people text me 2 weeks out and say, hey, my schedule is X, Y, and Z. And I end up filling my books. It always works out. But that insecurity of looking at your books across the next
Mhm.
month and going like, oh my God, I have no one on my books. I'm so slow. Texting or just like friends in the industry going like, are you as slow as I am? And then remembering like, oh yeah, no, I don't push pre-book as hard. And so they're not on my book. So I
Mhm.
have to remember it will fill in and it will work out. And just you have to push yourself when nobody else is going to push you. You have to believe in your business and your brand when nobody else will. And it's hard.
Mhm.
It's there's a lot of ups and downs. So
Totally. And beyond the mindset, it's also just like, it sounds so hippy dippy of me, but it's you do get what you put out.
mhm.
So if your energy is like scarce and super like scared and penny pinching and like you're just on this really negative frequency versus like you start thinking about your clients and who you saw 4 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and maybe you do a post and you shoot a couple texts and you get one, then you get five, then you're like, oh my
Okay.
gosh, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
So it's also having hope and belief in yourself, even when there's no evidence. And that's like borderline delusional, but it's what is required to build a book of
Yeah.
business. So that's kind of the next topic is like, how do you fill your books? So we're going to talk about a few techniques on how to fill your books, but fundamentally, it just starts with great service,
Mhm.
period, point blank. Like when you have like an amazing Brazilian where every hair is gone and it's super smooth and there's no ingrown hairs and it's just like fantastic. Believe me, I will be back. I will give you a great tip. I love that, right? So service, customer service, right? How you handle everything. If you're constantly being rescheduled, like I am someone when I make an appointment, it's because I'm going to be gone 3 weeks out of the month. I'm traveling. I have a bunch of other meetings and plans. And if you reschedule me as my provider, I'm honestly probably done. Like I need someone who's going to be available
Consistent.
when I book.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that customer service, the consistency, the great service as far as the waxing technique. Um, but some other tips are referrals, promotions. There's a lot of little tips and tricks to fill your books.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of yours?
I mean, I think the reviews are huge. And when I am super proactive about asking clients for reviews, I notice a difference. Like I notice a shift in how my books will fill because just the algorithm does it for you, right? Like if I am super consistent with posting on social media and or like asking clients who I know I love and trust, like, hey, would you mind writing me a review? And they do, like how it messes with all of these things that we don't really know about SEO, Google, all the scary
Look at
stuff
my
that
biz.
we'll just pay somebody else to figure out. But it really does matter. So like to have a handful of clients that like I don't feel uncomfortable being like, oh, if you loved your service with me, I would love if you could write me a review. Um, it shifts this algorithm and then you have an influx of like response on the internet of people calling or DMing you. And so I think just the being super consistent with the reviews and with social media. Like it feels like at times it doesn't matter and nothing's going to come back to you, or you post and post and post and your engagement feels low, but you just keep doing it. And then you kind of break through this threshold where then you see a difference and you're like, oh, okay, it matters.
Totally. And what people don't tell you is like when they actually go to book with you finally, they've gone to Google, they've read your reviews. They don't tell you that. They've gone to your Instagram, they've looked at your before and after pictures.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell you that. So you may think it's not important or see the value in it, but I promise you that is where we live is online.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't get those two things right, your reviews and your social, then you're going to be in a world of hurt. So I would say that asking for reviews is a really easy way to build your book of business. Not easy. It's important. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very important
It'll
step.
help.
And not being shy. Like
Yeah.
you said, Rachel, it's as simple as like if someone says, oh my gosh, I love my wax. It was amazing. You know what? It would totally mean the world to me if you could just leave me a review about your experience. Like just, let everyone know. Can I send you a link to my review? That simple. So you either have a QR code that goes directly to your review platform, or you could text them a link, but make it easy for them to leave you a review. That's just like the most simple way to
Mm-hmm.
get those reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So outside of reviews, there's a couple other things you could do to build your book of business. One of them being networking, and the other one a referral program, which could kind of go hand in hand. So how has networking helped you?
Well, so before I was in the space I'm in now, obviously my husband and I own a salon now. So I'm in a room, like a salon suite within the salon, and there's 6 stylists doing hair. networking with them is like a no-brainer just because the amount of clientele that they see, and my card is on all of their stations that they can give and refer my business to them. It might not be that easy for anyone else starting out, but just anyone else in the industry that offers similar services, building rapport, building relationships with people that they like you, so they will refer clients to you.
Mhm.
I have a client who owns a Jabs boxing gym, and she's asked me, "Will you come do a pop up?" I'm like, "Absolutely." I leave my cards in my, my brochure, my like service menu there, and it's not even the same industry. It's just like-minded individuals, and she trusts me, and it's my relationship with her that brings the
Mhm.
clients to me.
Mhm.
So the networking is huge because even if it's a gym, if it's a friend that just trusts you, they will refer business to you.
100%. Being a part of networking groups is like super important, whether it's like the Chamber of Commerce, BNI, there's networking groups on Facebook,
Mhm.
there's meetups, making friends with someone like Rachel said, like maybe you make friends with like a lash service
Right.
provider. They don't
A
do
nail
waxing,
tech, a
right?
massage therapist. Yeah.
Right. And you could even offer some form of like business relations discount. Like, hey, if you show me a receipt that you went to so and so, I'll give you $20 off your first service, vice versa. Also just like not underestimating the power of a business card. You go out to a restaurant, there's a check presenter, they leave you your card, your receipt, right? Throw your business card in there. Compliment someone on their eyebrows, right? It's like, oh my gosh, who does your eyebrows? I'd love to do your eyebrows. I'm an esthetician. Here's my card.
Mhm.
I'll actually like if you remind me that we met here, I'll throw in a discount, whatever that is, or a brow tint or an additional service, right? So you cannot be shy.
No.
Building a book of business, you can't be shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever it takes.
Right. And that referral program is also really important because your clients that have already seen you love your service. So there's no better, form of referral than someone that can speak to your service with conviction like, "Oh my gosh, she's amazing. Love her. She's awesome. Her salon is super clean. Her playlist is fun. She's like
Mhm.
super cool," right? That weighs so much more than, like just a basic business who's probably paying a lot of money for SEO to rank higher, and you see them that they're sponsored ads on Google and stuff, right? Like a referral will always weigh more.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So I kind of started mentioning some like discounts and promos and whatnot. So we want to give you some advice around that. At the end of the day, you're gonna like make decisions for your business and you have to understand, like I already mentioned, what your monthly overhead is and what your break even point is so that you can make profit.
Mhm.
So you need to be super mindful with your promotions and your discounts, especially when you're new, because you don't have existing clientele to contribute to your revenue. It's like all zero. So anything that you discount is negative. So let's talk about some promos.
So, I
Discounts.
mean, obviously, anytime there's a holiday, you could do like a Black Friday sale or a Memorial Day sale. Those are easy. But you're right. You have to decide what your breaking even point, what your bottom line is. And I think it's easier to throw things in that are no sweat off your back, if you
Mhm,
will.
mhm,
So, like a tint, like it's really just your time. Like you're not paying a ton for tint. Or I don't know, like you do a Brazilian and then they can try a service for $5 instead of the 15.
mhm,
So you're not getting $0, but you're getting some money. Just breaking out these different promotions that you still are taking something away from. Or yes, if you refer somebody to me, you get $5 off your service or $10 off your service. And
mhm.
then the one that was referred still pays full price or whatever it is. But yes, mapping out, brainstorming what could work for you. Doing giveaways on Instagram is huge. So
Mhm.
having people reshare your profile or tag friends in it, that's huge. I think that's a great way to kind of spread awareness and get your page out and your brand and your name and get new clientele.
Right. In our curriculum, we break it down. There's a formula where you can figure out like exactly what you can discount. And what we call it is L&E. So we call it either labor and expertise or labor and experience. And so there's like a set dollar amount based off of your experience level. And so that is what we recommend that would be your max discount rate. So it's like when you first start off, your labor and expertise is worth like $10. And as you become more of a professional and a speed waxer, your labor and expertise is worth more, which is why you could charge more. And so that is what I would recommend that you would discount at most is your labor and expertise, because then essentially you're donating a service, but in return, your overhead's going to be covered, right? So like your cost of goods sold is going to be covered. And you're going to be tipped. So it's not like you're making zero, but you absolutely need to know what that labor and expertise is worth. And again, it's in our course if you need help with that. So let's talk about the perfect waxing schedule.
I mean, I think mine is pretty perfect now.
Tell me.
Well, I work Tuesday through Friday. I work Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 to 3. And then I work Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 6 or 7 if I need to stay till 7. But that wasn't always the case. Like in the beginning, we talk about this in the course of like how to schedule yourself, because you need a couple morning days, you need a couple evening days, and you should have a weekend day. I have the luxury now of working for myself for 13 years that I've like built my book of business that my clients know that I have kids now and I don't work on Saturday, but I work Saturdays and Sundays for the longest time. And it's just part of like paying your dues in the industry. And then I was able to move them off of those days. If I didn't have kids, I truly would. Like my husband still works all day on Saturday, but one of us has to be with them.
Right.
And it's me.
Right. I always talk about it like a fishnet. So it's like the bigger the fishnet, right, the more fish you're going to catch. And that's your schedule. The wider your schedule is spread, the more clients you're going to get. It's not the most efficient, obviously. There's going to be gaps in your book, et cetera. But when you first start off, there's no days off. If a client wants to come in on Saturday at 4 p.m., not ideal. I have a Super Bowl party at 6. But guess what? You're building a book of business. Every client matters. And you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you're fishing with a small net, you're going to catch a few fish. So if you start off with like Rachel's schedule, you're not going to build a book of business. She's there because she has the luxury of that schedule that she's built. So she's stacked in between those hours. Whereas, obviously, when you first start off, that's not going to be the case. And it's super important for you to be ready for that. For me, I love like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah. See, our lives are just different.
I am a night owl. I want to sleep in, have my coffee, go to the gym, eat my big lunch,
And then wax.
I could wax all night.
Yeah.
So that's my ideal schedule. Everyone has a different one, but I mean, certainly when we first started in the industry, I worked every single day. Sundays included, missed holidays. It's not ideal. Like entrepreneurship is not like all fun and games. It's really tough. Year one is super tough. And that's where 50% of businesses don't make it. So if you make it past year one, pat yourself on the back. You're doing a great job, but you have to have the perseverance and you have to have the humility to work those shifts that maybe you don't want to initially.
Yeah.
What is like your number one tip for working for yourself?
I think it's all just about organization. You just have to be super, super organized, because if you're not, then you fail. So whether that means inventory, paying your bills, the bookkeeping aspect,
Social media.
scheduling posts. It's just you have to have all of your ducks in a row, because there's no one picking up pieces. So if you are not organized, then no one's going to do it for you. What about you?
Hustle your ass off. Like, you want to build a book of business, you want to make money, no one's going to do it for you. Hustle your ass off.
Yeah.
Sweet. I think that's episode 4.
Episode 4.
In the
We
books.
did it. Yes. Thank everyone for joining and listening. And we hope that there was insight here that speaks to you.
See you soon.